In this video, shopping locally, supporting local farms and eating the best quality produce doesn't have to be as expensive as you think. And I want to explain to you some reasons why. One thing that I heard the most when I was operating a shop, and I still hear it now. Often quality local produce hasn't been shipped around the country, so it's fresher. Fresher food means it lasts longer. It's got less chance of spoiling quicker. For example, I buy my fruit and vegetables from a local greengrocers. It may or may not be more expensive. Some of the things on appearance are more money, but actually I'm not sure they are, because they're often twice the size of what I buy in a supermarket. So I get those and I take them home, and I'm still eating them by the time I go back the next week. How often do you buy something from a supermarket and it's either tasteless or just doesn't last long enough and you throw it away in the bin? Which brings me on to my next point, food waste. What we're doing as a society is surprisingly, inconvenient for our wallets. When we use a supermarket, what we actually end up doing is we buy too much and we spend too much on the offers, and we end up with stuff, food, packaging, etc., that all goes in the bin at the end of the week. In fact, some statistics will tell you 1 in 3 bags of shopping, when bought in a weekly shop fashion, e.g. supermarket shop, go straight in the bin at the end of the week. That is shocking. All that tells me is we've got a third, 33% of our money we could spend on extra produce, on better quality produce, and by shopping more locally. By shopping more locally or finding these outlets and trying to frequent them more often than once a week or once a fortnight, etc., it means we often only buy what we need. So that will save you money. That's a really interesting point, isn't it? When we visit a supermarket, we don't realise we're constantly being marketed to. We're being told what we want, and we are not really sure how it all goes on, but every single thing is psychologically placed for us to buy it. And actually, we always walk out of those shops with more than we need. By using your local butcher, you'll go into the local butcher and you'll ask them for what you want, and they'll sell it to you, and you might see a few other goodies for the freezer or something like that, but I guarantee that what you buy from your local butcher, a third of it will not go in the bin at the end of the week. Supermarkets will just throw everything away at the end of the day that's gone out of date, because they'd rather have full shelves for the consumer to go and pick what they want on multiple dates, yet it's all booked out and thrown away. It's absolutely astonishing. I spent some time as a teenager working at a supermarket, and the amount of food they just threw away was disgraceful. It just shouldn't happen. So I recommend, if you're going to buy meats, fruits, vegetables and other foods, is you work the best you can with your supplier to order them in advance and to limit the impact on that food waste. Because what's happened is animals and plants have grown, lived and survived. Farms have worked and toiled, brought it to the shelves for the supermarkets. The farmer's probably losing money in some way somewhere along the way. And the issue then is not only all of that process is happening, half of it gets thrown away at the end of the week because it didn't sell. We need to lose this connection we've got to stacking it high, selling it cheap, and the entitlement we have to go and buy whatever we fancy, whatever season it is, because that's costing us financially and it's costing the planet too. Because some way or another, we're paying for these inefficiencies in the food chains. So that needs to stop. But here's a little secret. When you've never used a local business, it sometimes feels a bit alien and a bit strange, and are they going to be really expensive, and I'm not really too sure. Do you know what? If you become a regular customer of an independent business, I almost guarantee you'll be looked after like one of the family. They'll always look after you on the quality and the prices. All of my customers, they have deals every week. They have subscribers, so you get special offers. And we all really appreciate the custom and what people do. So me, as an independent retailer, I see my regular customers as absolute gold dust, and they're so appreciated. When you use a local business, you are putting money back into your local economy, and if it's not local but independent, you're putting money into a family that's doing good. And actually, we need to vote with our wallets, vote for the change in the direction that we want as consumers, because if we're not careful, all we're going to do is we're going to be like lemmings walking off the cliff, just destined for whatever the supermarket decides to sell us. The amount of times people message me when they've used my businesses for the first time, and I'm the same when I've used other local businesses for the first time. When I go there, the quality is extraordinary. Like I put a post on recently about just some strawberries I bought from my local greengrocer, and I love it, and I won't go anywhere else, and it's not more expensive. Sometimes the worst part of changing the way you shop is convenience, and in fact the price of convenience is huge, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. So convenience is probably the biggest fundamental problem we have with our food supply in this country. Convenience has made it so we are used to having what we want when we want it at the price we want it. And in fact, it's not sustainable. It's something we can't continue with as a food producing nation. It's not right. We are paying the price in our modern day society for the level of convenience we have. In fact, when something's convenient, people are more willing to pay more for it. So, e.g., for example, when you go to a I forgot to say, my brain's gone. For example, petrol service stations, you always overpay for your produce. Pre-packed foods, always overpay for the produce. Pre-packed whole grains or things that should be cheap but they're not are usually because there's been a process of convenience interfered with them. This is a massive problem in our society. We need to get out of the fact that convenience does this to us. We need to sort of, I think, spend more time connecting with where our stuff comes from, where the produce comes from, and taking a look at it in more depth, because convenience is what's killing everything. We are busier than ever, and we fall into the trap of a packaged ready meal or anything like that. And that just further pushes us away from where our food comes from and further from who creates our food. And that's what big retailers want. They want you to not know because they can slot it in wherever they fancy. And that's not right. So really, we need to forget about what's convenient and get into new habits that are better for the local economy, better for the planet, better for the country, and ultimately you won't even realize it until you try, but better for you. And this is not me preaching whatsoever, because we all need convenience food. Sometimes we all enjoy a takeaway or a cheeky burger from a drive-through on a journey with the family, or you're driving in the middle of the night and you haven't eaten. But these things do exist, and I accept they exist. But making a small change, like if you've never visited your local greengrocer ever, then visit them once a month, or visit the local butcher once a month. Or if you've never bought your Christmas meats from a butcher, start doing that. There's all little ways of getting in the habit of doing it. Because I guarantee the second you put that food in your mouth that's been produced either locally in this country by experts, that's been done in a traditional way, even like a local cheese or a proper pork pie, all of these foods, they don't have to be health foods. They can be anything. You will go, oh my God, I can't believe how good it is. In fact, I remember people when they first started buying my pork 20 years ago, they could not believe the difference, because all that happens is you get used to supermarket grade quality and you don't realize what you're eating is no good until you have something that's so good, and you can't ever go back. So let's get ourselves converted. So that's my little piece for the day. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you very much.